Hey, what's up, guys? Got something special today. I haven't seen hardly anybody. I've actually only seen one video on this radio on YouTube. There might be others, but I can't find them. This is the Station G2, and this radio is capable of putting out about 4.5 watts on the North American, on our band, and I believe it's 5 on the European band of LoRa. Now it comes to you preset to only output 1 watt, which is what we're going to leave it at. If you don't know, if you go over 1 watt, you have to have your ham ticket and you can't run encrypted comms. So we're just going to keep it as close to 1 watt as possible. And I'm hoping that this will give me a little bit better reception on this side. I'm going to be replacing the node on my roof with it. And I got it, yesterday, I think. And I just took it out and played around with it. Now I'm going to be using the housing that I've already got up there. But I did check the fit on one of these little Tupperware containers from Dollar General. So I was thinking about using one of these for it, and yeah, I mean, that's a pretty good fit. Now, of course, you would have to cut a hole right here for your power to go in, and then I guess just put a whole bunch of silicone caulk on it. But I mean, you can't get much of a better fix for it than that. Fit. And they come with, I think this is a 2 dBi antenna. I could be wrong about that. It's the kind that bends like so. It also runs off of USB power delivery. So some USB devices, or like these chargers, will actually put out 20 volts. So they've got different voltages that they'll put out. It just depends on what the device you're charging can take. USB-C is smart like that. So I got one of those and an extra long USB-C cable. Now, initially I hooked that antenna set up for a TV antenna, and I had an amplifier up there, so I ran power up there. So it looks like all of this is going to be just kind of plug and play. I just need to get that other one down and make another hole in the box for this, take out the whiz block, put that in, and I should be in business. So here's the antenna off of the roof. Now, this is a 10 dBi from Rockland, and I haven't tested it or anything, but it seems to get out there. Sometimes able to message 2 miles away with it, with the little whiz block inside. And again, this is just a little solar panel from AliExpress, and I cut the USB portion of it off. And well, let's just go ahead and drop it. Let's see if you can see in there now. And this battery bank, and I pulled all of those cells out of vapes. So I can't remember. I think it's like 6,000 milliamp hours. Yeah, so it's been a good little rig. And what I'm thinking of doing though is just swapping the antenna on this and leaving all that like it is, because earlier today, put that one on there. Earlier today, somebody was trying to get through. They were on a flight to Washington, D.C., and I kept, responding to them, and it was either my call sign handle or they couldn't see what I was saying. Now, you got to think these people that fly over, they're in basically aluminum tubes, so if their antenna isn't near the window, they're pretty much out of luck. Or I guess probably, even on the right side of the airplane. But I get those about every 2 weeks. And the other thing it could have been is this antenna. The DBI, the higher the DBI, the narrower your cone out around it. So if I get a lower DBI, I'll get a bigger cone, and maybe I'll be able to talk to the airplanes with this one and just use that one for my running around town and whatnot. Like that. Now, I've got everything connected and all hooked up, so I'm going to do a fairly quick test before this goes up on the roof. That worked out nice. Phew, there she is. Man, when I was pulling that cord through the wall there and trying to plug it into the charger, it wouldn't have gone if it was a millimeter shorter, and it is hot up there. So now that I'm out here and can look at it, I see I've got a little bit more wiggle room that I can make, and gonna have to do something about that dripping, because it's gonna want to drip inside. I just put something like a little donut shaped thing around the cord, give it a little more slack. We'll be good to go. I'm connected right now. I was a little concerned or curious about the Bluetooth range. It was connected fine inside where I've got my computer, so that's good. All right, yeah, I tried it out this morning on a ruck in my neighborhood, and my node was dead, so I grabbed another one that had the factory GPS settings on it, and it picked it up as good as the Rack Wireless deal that was up there. It picked it up just fine, except I had it in my picnic table over there, so my house was between me and everywhere I was rucking, so it picked all that up. Now Sunday I'm going to do the same deal again, and we'll cross-reference that with the old maps and see if we filled in some of the spots. So I had a little annoying hiccup. What happened was I got all excited yesterday and got this up on the rooftop before making sure everything was, completely fine with it. Of course, because it's a real pain in the butt to get up there, and you gotta lean over the edge whenever you're doing this with the thing, trying to get it mounted. Anyway, I got it up there and I was playing around with it down here, and I realized I forgot to put it in router client mode. So I went to do that and it kept bumping it back to client. It would not go out. Well, it would go out of client mode because I was able to get it in tracker mode, but I didn't want it in tracker mode because it's not going anywhere, hopefully. The whole point is to have it not go anywhere, like me not go up there and get it and bring it back down here. So I could figure it out. I emailed them and they got back with me in a couple of hours, which was awesome. And they suggested that, well, while I was waiting, I did some research and I was reading about this problem kind of this problem. Somebody else was having the same problem, and I had this problem in the beginning, and it was really annoying. And that is that if I went to set it in router mode, it would just completely, it would go into power saving mode after like 5 minutes, and then it wouldn't do anything. And if it was doing something, you couldn't tell if it was, rebroadcasting signals. It just like it would go off. And then you got to go up there and get it down and plug it into your computer, and it's just really annoying. So I was really reluctant to just put it in router mode, or to even try to put it in router mode because of that. So I went ahead and emailed, well, they emailed me back after that, and they, it's just the standard run-of-the-mill things that you tell anybody. Did you update maybe you need to update the firmware, blah, 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 blah. But they gave me a specific firmware version. It was like 2.13. And I kind of just read the email real quick, and it was late. Didn't think much about it. This morning, I got up and I was thinking about it, and I figured, well, maybe when I got it, instead of erasing and updating it to the current firmware, what I did was just a firmware update. Maybe it had something in it funky, and I just updated it instead of doing the full erase. So I climbed up there, I got it down, and then I did a full erase and updated it to the current 2.4.0. And then I tried to get it in router client mode. It would not go into router client mode. So then I read the email again, and that's when I saw that he'd suggested that I go, that they told me to put it in 2.13. So I put it in 2.13, and I did a full erase and installed 2.13, and then I was able to get it in router client mode. And I crossed my fingers and did an update to 2.4, and now that's where we are now, and I'm still able to have it in router client mode. Yeah, if anybody at Meshtastic sees this, that problem that guy had is probably a lot more common than you think with us plebs. So just have a little patience with us, because we put nodes in all kinds of crazy places. And when we get them up there, we don't want to have to go back up there if at all possible. So maybe like a little bit better description for us common folk on how router is supposed to work, because I would use it if I knew it was working in a heartbeat. I would much rather not having this thing getting hot up there in router client mode. But if you tell me that it's working and here's how you can tell it's working, I'd be fine with putting it in just router mode. I also read on there that in early July there was discussion about getting rid of router client mode. So I'm not sure if the only reason that I'm able to, see, I tried, let's see, what did I do? With a 4631, I tried I tried putting it in router client mode, and I was able to do that just fine. Now, that could be just because I haven't been doing full erases when I update things. I've just been updating it, just, piling on the firmware. So I'm really not sure, but yeah, maybe this will save you some time if you start running into that issue. Good morning. So today we're gonna be hiking around the neighborhood. Well, the neighborhood being in the city, and the goal is to try out the longer antenna because I've been using it and I think I was wrong about it. It's been working pretty well. So we're gonna match that one against one of the shorter antennas that I know works as good, if not better, than my original antenna. And I also brought down a couple of the numbers, like how often GPS is going out, and put those numbers down to 15 seconds. You could probably do with 30 seconds for just walking, and but 15 seconds is no, you could probably do with 30 seconds. 30 seconds would probably give you really good resolution if you're like in a golf cart or side-by-side, something like that. But 15 seconds gives you really good resolution just walking around. And the other thing we're going to try to do is fill in some of those, the yellow that I highlighted where we failed to make contact with the nodes. Well, that was a bust this morning. We were walking along and I realized, wait a minute, we are nowhere near where I was wanting to fill in the gaps. We actually ended up walking a completely different way that wouldn't have told me anything that I didn't already know. And then when I got back to the house, looked at the iPad, and it has not really recorded more than about 5 total GPS points. So it didn't record, and I think I figured out what happened. I went to bed about 10:30 last night, and I was thinking, I'm tired. I'll have plenty of time to mess around with this stuff, get everything all queued up first thing in the morning before I leave. And that didn't happen. So I was just looking at it, and I noticed that the iPad was not connected to my whiz block that I've got up there. I've got a whiz block and the G2 up there. And I basically use the whiz block to communicate with me in the house because it's got such good Bluetooth on it. If I try to connect directly to the G2 with the iPad, the Bluetooth is kind of sketchy, and I've seen it go out before. Like when I was setting up to go out and try to run a track, it would it'd stay on, and then it just record a little bit and then cut off. Well, apparently that's what happened. Apparently I left the iPad connected to the G2 and not the whiz block before heading out. And yeah, that's the end result of that. That also might have something to do with Meshtastic and their updating their Bluetooth library. I don't really know. But if we can get enough people to get the G2 and figure out exactly what these little nuances about it are, I feel confident they'll address them and fix whatever, or just run the older firmware. But yeah, I will say this about it. Yesterday, in the middle of a thunderstorm, there's a grocery store over there, and there's a hill that I've never been able to get over sending messages or sending GPS coordinates or receiving them from there. But with that G2, I can communicate all the way over there, and I don't really know how it's getting over that hill, but it is. It just must be the extra power with it. Yeah, that's going to be about it for this one. I've rambled on long enough. Yeah, check out the G2, especially if there's not much action going on in your area. It might be just what you need, because it does give you better reception, as well as, transmitting, but I'm really not doing a lot of that with it. All right, until the next one. Later.